Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today let's talk about confidence. A lot of people out there lack confidence and they want to know how to be more confident people. First, let's start off with just making sure what we're talking about here. Nobody is confident in everything. Some people have more of a natural sense of confidence in who they are than others. But that comes from working on specific areas in your life, if not more than one, but multiple. And as you work on different areas of your life, you can become more confident. Now, how do we do that? Confidence comes through consistency, through practice, through repetition. The more consistent you are with your disciplined behavior in a certain field, the more confidence you get at it. The more you do something, the better at it you get, and the more confident in yourself that you become within that field. So somebody who paints a lot becomes a confident painter, becomes a confident artist. Somebody who works out a lot and exercises a lot becomes confident in their body, becomes confident in physical activity. Confidence comes through consistency, through a consistent implementation of discipline. But you got to put in the work. When I first started my motorcycle shop, I had been customizing bikes in my carport at my house. And I was renting a place down in a neighborhood called the Jungle in Los Angeles, ghetto. Real fucked up area. And I would just buy cheap ass bikes and customize them the best I could with a minimum budget and then resell them. And off the first bike that I did, I was able to double the money off of it, plus what I had into it, was able to get a nice profit. On the second bike I did, I was able to triple the money. All of a sudden I was making real good money selling these bikes. I was making more money selling these bikes out of my carport than I was at my little bullshit ass job that I was working at. One day, I was working on a bike that I had just bought, and my neighbor from the place next door came over. He was a Haitian guy, and he had been a biker. Well, not really a biker, because you think of Hell's Angels and all that kind of stuff. He wasn't that type of biker, but he was a motorcycle enthusiast, let's say. From the time he was a very, very little boy. He was practically born on two wheels. Had been riding since he was like 4 years old. When he lived in his country, he ran a quite successful motorcycle taxi service. And he owned several bikes and hired drivers, and he was one of them for a while, and worked his way up through that field. Now, if you don't know what a motorcycle taxi is, they literally will just put you on the back of a bike, just like in a taxi cab like we have here, and take you somewhere. These motherfuckers will load them up. 4 people, 5 people. He's barreling down jungle roads in the mud with fucking 5 people on a motorcycle. So we knew bikes. And we kind of bonded over that. And he came over to the carport one day as I was working on one of my bikes. And he told me, what you do here is artwork. And he was real serious. And I took that as a big compliment coming from him, and somebody who had that kind of a lot of experience on motorcycles. And I had felt rather unconfident about my interest in bikes because I wasn't doing the choppers that other people were doing. I wasn't building $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 choppers. I didn't have English wheels and CNC machines or Bridgeports. I didn't have any of that stuff. I did it out of my carport with a toolbox I bought from Pep Boys and a little folding table that I had. That was my workbench. That was it. I'd buy cheap ass parts and make them if I could. I'd, be bending metal, making license plate frames just by trying to cut it out and bend the metal on the side of the curb. I mean, I was doing bare minimum. and doing well at it. And this guy tells me that this is artwork. And he inspired me. I looked back on all the work that I had put in and all the bikes that I had sold and was just like, you know what? I could do this. I could do this for a living. So I went and quit my job, took a big risk. I'm an all-in type of person. Those part-time hustle motherfuckers don't ever go nowhere. Side hustle, whatever they call it, you'll never go nowhere with that shit. You gotta go all in, sink or swim. You really want to do something, you gotta make that choice. So that's what I did. I took the risk. Because when you gotta hustle for that money, you hustle for that money. If you don't really gotta hustle for it, then you won't really hustle for it. I wanted to put myself in a position where I had no choice but to succeed. And I did. I crashed the scene in Los Angeles, the custom motorcycle scene, hard. People didn't want me in. It was a secret squirrel society. It was real tight-knit. And you had Arlen Ness, you had Jesse James, you had some of these big names. The guy from Exile Cycles, Russell Mitchell, was out then. I guess he's still out now. But there was just kind of a handful of motherfuckers around the country that were just getting on TV, and they were the only real well-known customizers. And then all of a sudden I crashed the scene hard. And I wasn't really like them. These guys were different than me. I was from the streets. The exception of Indian Larry, none of them really knew what that life was like. And that's what I was dedicated to. I wasn't a biker like people talk about. I wasn't interested in motorcycles when I was a little boy. I didn't care. My dad was a Hell's Angel. I didn't give a fuck about motorcycles. All I cared about was committing crimes, robberies. I was dedicated to the alleyways and to the street corners. I didn't care about motorcycles, and then all of a sudden I just kind of fell into it. And I became obsessed with it as a hobby. And slowly, all other aspects of my life kind of dissipated, and the motorcycles became the main thing. And then when I went to start my own shop, people didn't really want me there. But I'd already gotten over the unconfident stages because I had done it so much. I put so much work in. I had sold bikes with cash that I could say, okay, you don't think I can do this? Then how come I'm selling all these bikes? I started my shop. I started getting in magazines. The only way I could get into a magazine, because it was a pay-to-play thing back then. There was no Facebook. There wasn't any social media, where these magazines now, they have free social media sites, and you can just go see all these pictures of bikes, and you don't have to pay a goddamn thing. Back in those days, if you wanted to see pictures of cool motorcycles, you had to buy a fucking $5, $6 magazine from the grocery store. That was it. That was your access to the scene, other than maybe watching one of these TV shows that came on. I couldn't afford that shit. For a full-page ad in Easy Rider, it costs $3,600. I didn't have that kind of money. I wasn't taking on any loans. I wasn't a rich boy like these other motherfuckers, so I would go and enter my bikes in shows, national shows, not any bullshit-ass shows, national shows. Because the national shows had magazines show up, so even if I didn't win, it didn't matter. Because the magazines would go through, they want pictures of cool bikes, and they'll take pictures of almost every bike there. And there wasn't thousands of bikes entered in a fucking show because it wasn't really that big of a scene. So even if my competition now is watching this video and they still have their arms folded and they're shaking their head, looking down their nose at me because I'm not doing these chump choppers for these fucking pink polo shirt wearing yuppies. I'm doing cool bikes for working class motherfuckers. That's where the scene started, and that's where the fucking scene should have stayed. Fuck those other motherfuckers, those rich fucking rubs, where they call them rich urban bikers. Fuck those motherfuckers. And I have a lot of confidence in this world. I know what a cool bike is. I know the motorcycle industry. Nobody can fucking tell me shit about the motorcycle industry. I'm the one who gets interviewed and has articles about the fucking industry now. I know this shit. And it's not because I was given a gift from God. It's not a fucking natural talent. It's something I worked at. Consistency. I was consistently putting in work every single day. It became my life. And I went from unconfident person to a confident person when you're talking about motorcycles. Sinister. That's my brand. Any aspect of your life can be this way. Anything that you are weak in, you can consistently work towards on a daily basis with discipline and become confident in that. If you're unconfident with socializing, say that you can't talk to women. That's a common one. I used to have that one. I couldn't talk to women at all. You can become confident in that if you put in consistent work and you talk to women more. And the more that you talk to women, the more that you get better at it, the more that you relax, the more that you have things to talk about. And then next thing you know, with consistency and with discipline, trying to force yourself to do something that might be uncomfortable, even if you're not good at it in the beginning. And you become good at it. And you become confident in that area. This works for any aspect of your life. So you can take a look at yourself and be humble and find where your weaknesses are. You can write them down, make a list. If it's not a very long list and you're somehow born perfect and amazing, I know I wasn't. I was full of flaws, more weaknesses than strengths. So my list was long. But if you don't have a long list, you don't have to write it down, and you can look at those areas. And even if you might say, well, I'm not very good at that, and I'm not really that confident in this area, I don't have a good body, and I don't have a lot of body confidence, then work on that shit. That's on your list. There you go. Put that on your daily schedule. Daily, every day. And over time, you'll find that all of a sudden you're building confidence. You're building knowledge. You're building skills in that area. Do this with every aspect of your life. And you will have a type of confidence that other people are impressed by, that other people want to aspire to. So that's how confidence works. Thanks for watching.